Hi, I'm Matthew Spina. I'm a reporter with the Buffalo News. I'm here with Charlie Specht, my fellow reporter, and we want to tell you about some new data about the police that the news will publish for its readers come Sunday. Charlie, do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, so what we're going to be publishing is a look at New York State Police disciplinary files. So we got our hands on sort of a cache of never before seen state police internal disciplinary files. We got this data using the state's Freedom of Information law. We requested this data. Just a little history here about how this all came about. Um, uh, 50A is a term for a part of New York law that was repealed after the George Floyd killing, and that law made it so that police disciplinary records were secret and not available to the public through their Freedom of Information law. So the news actually has been filing freedom of information requests for police departments across Western New York, and most of these departments have complied and have turned over the documents. The state police, however, in response to the news request, said that it would be impractical, that they couldn't. We asked for all of the records for disciplinary with Troop A, which is the part of the state police in Western New York, and the state police denied the request and said it would be too cumbersome and there was no way to really narrow down just the troopers who were in Troop A. However, we went to a different agency, a district attorney's office, who had these records, and they provided them. And we've been digging through these for about 2 weeks now, and we're going to present to you in the next couple of days. Really, the first look at how the New York State's premier police agency disciplines its own.
So, Charlie, explain why a district attorney's office had these records.
So a district attorney's offices get these records because of a Supreme Court case called Brady versus Maryland from, I believe, the 60s, which basically, if there is something negative that comes out that would hurt the prosecution's case against a defendant, such as a police officer with a history of police brutality, lying under oath, that sort of thing, the prosecutor has to turn that over to the defense. So district attorneys, they're basing their cases on the word and the actions of police officers. They want to know ahead of time if the people they're building their cases on are credible. So the DAs get this information from the police agencies, and they use that information to evaluate the cases that they're going to bring to trial. We looked at about I would say 80 cases. We're publishing some of these cases, not all of the cases. And Matt, do you want to talk a little bit about why we're not publishing all of these and the types of cases that we were interested in and that we're going to be reporting on this weekend?
Well, for the most part, we are publishing cases in which the public was involved or the public was affected in some way, or there was a potential threat to the public. Cases that were founded, cases that led to some sort of disciplinary action against a state police officer, cases that we think rose to a level of seriousness that the public should know about, that these cases should be in the public domain.
So a lot of state troopers get letters of censure for, like a lot of police agencies, for minor car crashes. They spend, most of their time or much of their time on road patrol. These are relatively common. We're talking about, a deer running out in front of somebody, or Bumping into a light pole really would not be considered misconduct unless it is something more major with a vehicle.
Mhm.
And we decided that we would eliminate those and that we would also only go back to the year 2010. We were not interested in necessarily looking at cases that were from the 1990s or were not already reported on by us or by other media outlets. So we did have a couple specific cases here, Matt, that you kind of jumped off the page for you. Do you want to talk about those cases?
Well, I was struck in a few cases that we had some state police troopers who were arrested for driving while intoxicated or drunken driving accidents. Now these occurred while off duty. However, we ask state police and other law enforcement officers to enforce the laws, especially laws against drunken driving. We have been we have learned as a society that drunken driving is a very serious matter because of the risk to life. And and we here at the Buffalo News find it newsworthy that people who are to enforce these laws we're not living by these laws. To the credit of the state police bureaucracy, they dealt with these troopers. These matters were also taken very seriously in Albany, but those were cases that readers will find in the data, for example.
And
What
we
about
have
you? I'm sorry, go ahead. What about you, Charlie? What did you find remarkable?
Yeah, so there were cases in here that in a lot of these cases are sort of judgment calls when we talk about police misconduct cases where somebody was in the heat of a moment and maybe they acted the way that they're trained or maybe they didn't. But some of these are just clear cut forms of alleged misconduct. We have a case where a state policeman was caught having sex on duty. We have a case where a state policeman was looking at inappropriate material, seemed to refer to some sort of pornographic material on his state police computer. And then there's just cases where somebody reported something to the state police and they sort of just brushed it off, did not investigate thoroughly enough, or did not leave their post, to investigate a call. Those are all pretty clear-cut cases where the person knew that something was wrong and did it anyway. That is different from, simply making a mistake. And I should say that we did reach out to the state police leadership, and we also reached out to each individual trooper that we are going to be writing about in the story. We really want to get their side of the story because, again, this is police work is high stress, high pressure job. There's many, great police men and women on the streets, and we wanted to hear both sides of the story. And Matt, do you want to talk a little bit about, what the response of the state police brass was?
The response of the state police brass was that officers, state troopers are people too. They make mistakes. That's absolutely true. We heard from at our request, the union that represents state police investigators and senior investigators commented for our story. They believe that the internal disciplinary system with the state police is a very robust one, is a very effective one, and do not believe that the union does not believe that this information belongs in the public domain outside the purpose that it was compiled for, and that's as Brady material, as you discussed earlier, Charlie. We, however, think that this is information that should go before the general public, should be available to the general public.
And it should be clear here that this information has been made available by almost every other law enforcement agency in Western New York who we've asked for these type of files. We think that this information belongs in the public domain just for you to evaluate. It's not to say that the state police officers do not, troopers do not go out there every day and risk their lives and do great things, but the public has, created this agency, and the public pays the salaries of the people, working there. And we think that you should also have a chance to know how an agency handles internal discipline. So some agencies, when there's a pattern of repeat misbehavior, misconduct, they move to fire the police officer. You'll notice from our story that it is relatively rare for a state trooper to get fired. The more common punishment is a suspension. And we saw cases where there was a 1 or 2 day suspension. We also saw cases where there was a 30, 60, I believe even a 90-day suspension. So it also gives insight into, let's say, something does happen with a state trooper, and you report it to the state police. This will give you a better idea of how that complaint is being handled. So look forward to our story coming up here, and we encourage everyone to please comment on it, and also to go through the data yourselves and evaluate, because we are going to be posting the raw disciplinary files from at least 50 of these cases. And so you'll be able to go through on our website and look through each one, and if a case interests you, to find out more about it. So thank you.